But first, the new big lie. That's the focus of tonight's angle. Now, when you can't defend your record or show how your policies are going to lead to more peace, more prosperity, what are you left with? Lies, phony outrage, and hoaxes. And right through the home stretch of this campaign, that's all Kamala Harris is offering to voters. Now, Trump rightly tags Liz Cheney, the future Pentagon chief if Kamala wins, as being a war zealot, and made an offhand comment about how easy it is to send other people off to fight your wars.
She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy. But she's a stupid person.
Now, everyone knows what Trump meant, and it was clear. It wasn't saying she should be executed or put before a firing squad. It's a lot of what they used to say about George W. Bush and other Republicans who hadn't been in combat. But this didn't stop Kamala's media troops to snap into action, which is what they did, to advance a lie that Trump was literally calling for violence.
He has increased his violent rhetoric. Anyone who wants to be president of the United States who uses that kind of violent rhetoric is clearly disqualified and unqualified to be president.
Unqualified to be president? Those words came out of her mouth? Coming from a woman who never won a single primary. That's why she wants people disqualified. She doesn't want to give you a choice. And a woman who was such a bad boss that she couldn't keep her staff, which she lost 90% of them, and who can't answer basic policy questions to this night. She can't do it. Oh, but he's unqualified? That's funny. Now, with the whole election on the line, the decision to double down on emphasizing the importance of Liz Cheney to a future Harris administration, it strikes me as very risky. What happened to all the joy? So instead of running on an optimistic, issues-based campaign, Harris again has decided to embrace another vicious lie to scare voters, mostly women. That's how little she thinks of you. She knows it's all a lie. And yet Kamala Harris, who's supposedly qualified to be president, is repeating it anyway. Now, Trump obviously clarified his obvious intent about Cheney earlier today. And when campaigning in Dearborn, Michigan, he added this.
She's a war hawk. She kills people. She wanted to, even in my administration, she was pushing that we go to war with everybody. And I said, if you ever gave her a rifle and let her do the fighting, if you ever do that, she wouldn't be doing too well, I will tell you right now. If she had to face the consequences of battle, she wouldn't be doing it. So it's easy for her to talk, but she wouldn't be doing it.
Now, as for the Muslim leaders who have endorsed Trump, they saw this for what it was, like the mayor of Hamtramck, Michigan.
The top military advisor of Kamala Harris is Liz Cheney, the bloodthirsty person who advocates for more wars in the Middle East. President Trump keeps attacking the pro-war radicals, those war hawks, who are the top military advisor of Kamala Harris.
Smart people, voters with common sense, are onto the Democrats' game. They're frightening women voters, and they're lying about Trump. Calling him Hitler is their only hope now of avoiding voter wrath on something that really matters, which is the economy, especially after today's absolute nightmare of a jobs report. 113,000 jobs were expected, but only 12,000 jobs were added. We lost 46,000 manufacturing jobs, a lot of that from Boeing, 28,000 private payroll jobs. But look at it this way, kids, at least the bureaucracy grew. What would we do without more red tape? So without government jobs, when you analyze this, we'd have had a negative job growth report. None. Zero. Negative. So how does Kamala explain this? Answer, she can't. She doesn't.
We had a jobs report came out today, showed that we've actually had a revision downward of the number of jobs created. Actually, the new jobs report is only 10% of the number of jobs they expected to be created this month. And that's a problem for Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. He should be talking about that.
But the media doesn't want to talk about that. And they won't talk about it over in the Harris campaign because, remember, she thinks, and she's told us, that they made all the right calls.
If anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
And that's still my favorite answer ever. So now they've spent, printed, and borrowed $6.8 trillion. And all they got for it was a declining jobs market, declining hourly rate wages, and fat government payrolls. So my friends, they've been lying all along.
Our blueprint together for what America can be. This is Bidenomics. Bidenomics is working. It's working.
We are very proud of Bidenomics.
Lies, lies, and more lies. Just like the border is secure, there's no migrant crisis, just like inflation is transitory, don't worry about it. And of course, let's not forget, Ukraine is making gains. Remember last summer, wasn't that supposed to happen? All of it was untrue. Our people are hurting financially. Women and girls are trafficked at our border. Americans are victims of migrant crime. And in Ukraine, hundreds of thousands are dead. We don't even know how many. But lies, emphatically repeated enough times, look, they can become true to voters, especially people who are busy with their lives. Maybe they're just starting to pay attention to the election. That is what Kamala's team is hoping for tonight. And it's the same reason that she repeats the Charlottesville very fine people on both sides hoax. It's why she sticks to the suckers and losers hoax. It's why she's so cynical that she stuck with the Russia collusion, the dirty dossier hoax for so long. And so it makes perfect sense that in this long, tedious continuum of smears, they end this campaign with another lie, and it's a big one, and phony outrage over poor Liz Cheney. Is this a smart political decision? It's certainly insulting the intelligence of the voters. But given where their base is on the war issues, and look, on the Cheneys personally, they wanted to put Dick Cheney in, the International War Crimes Tribunal, for goodness sakes. This strikes me as a bizarre strategy to end this with. So now Americans face a stark choice. Remember Reagan in 1964 called it a time for choosing. And tonight the question is, will they choose Kamala and reward her record of decline and her campaign of lies and hoaxes and phony outrage, or will the voters choose Trump and a proven track record of success, peace, and prosperity for all the people? That's the choice, and that's the angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.